A very good morning to you, and welcome to a long overdue Monday Messages. It's been a while. For those of you following me, probably have clocked that I haven't been myself for the last couple of weeks. Really, it's been a quite an intense flu type illness, and I'm very very glad to be starting to recover in convalescence, rebalancing myself, and coming out the other side in the full knowledge that this was a necessary clear out, that it was an invitation to actually clear the decks, get rid of the rubbish. And there was a lot of rubbish coming out. Not only physically but emotionally as well. And I know that there are changes coming for me on lots of different levels. I don't know exactly what they are yet, but I'm excited to see what this actually is going to transform for me. So that's really, in essence, what I wanted to talk about today. My message being, and actually, I should start by saying thank you so much for all your well wishes, all your messages. I really, really appreciate them. And it was interesting to me to notice that, broadly speaking, those messages kind of fell into three different categories, if you like. And I'm going to be very mindful that I'm not placing any judgment on any of these. It was just an observation that for some of you, you were expressing deep fear and concern for my welfare, which I really appreciate, and asking me, should I not be, going to the doctor, going into the hospital, or whatever. The second category was more from, oh, poor you, how inconvenient, I hate it when I'm ill, because it stops me doing X, Y, and Z, and I just can't wait to be back in the saddle again, kind of thing. A kind of impatience and an intolerance of the state of illness, if you like. And the third category, which is much more aligned with the way that I would be regarding illness now, was more wishing me that I had every resource that I needed, that all would be well, to rest and do whatever I needed to recover myself. And it's led me to today's message, which is an invitation really for anybody who isn't of that mindset to really explore how you regard minor illnesses, acute illnesses. So I'm talking about, as you can hear, I'm still not completely free of all the gunk coming up. If you're feeling fearful of these acute illnesses, and your first response, your first reaction is to tip into that fearful state, how is that serving you? And what decisions and choices might it be driving? Because we know, absolutely we know, that being in a fearful state does not make for good long-term thinking. It does not make for good long-term decision-making, and it narrows our choices because we are exclusively focused on getting out of danger, perceived danger. But what if actually we could transform or just shift our view on acute illnesses and understand that they have incredible value? My belief is generally actually that when we can transform the way that we regard the purpose of acute illnesses, that is when we will start to really transform our health status. Because how we treat acute illnesses, what we understand is going on by them, and the emotional state that it engenders in us either helps or hinders that process to either fully resolve or to remain just being managed in some way. And that unresolved energy becomes chronic illness. When we suppress, when we choose medicines or drugs or, any method that does not recognize that, and rather than enhancing the process that is in play, it stops it, it suppresses it. That illness, that energy, whatever needs to come up, doesn't go away. It just stays where it is, or the body will then choose to do something deeper to try and finish that process. And that becomes chronic illness. So the more we can actually shift our focus from being very fear-driven and or a need to get it over with quickly and get back in the saddle and get back to normal, then the more chance we have of that unresolved energy becoming some kind of long-term chronic illness. So it's really important how we deal with these illnesses when they come up. Now, I've said this many times before, but this is the time of year where the whole of the natural world is shedding. It's going inwards. It's getting rid of anything that takes up energy that isn't strictly necessary for this time of year, because it's a hunkering down, it's a going deep within, so that we can actually nurture ourselves to go through the colder, darker months and possibly live on less resources than we would have during the summer months. Excuse me. And we're no exception to that. So it's no coincidence that for me, my body chose to do this massive clear out at this time of year. Now, there are various factors for me that I know contributed to the timing of that. And I, at no point during the height of the illness for me, did I feel fearful that I wasn't going to recover or that I needed to stop this. And I'm very, very grateful for the homeopathic support that I had from my practitioner, because when we're ill like that, we can't rely on our own cognitive powers as much as we can when we're not going through that. So that is when having a really skilled practitioner on speed dial is absolutely vital. And once I started to actually respond to her prescribing, then I was able to actually utilise my own treasure trove of resources, if you like, as well. And I reached for all kinds of food resources, herbal resources, as well as homeopathic remedies. And they all paid dividends. It's been a slow process for me, because I think it's been a long overdue rubbish clearance, if you like. I had reached tipping point, and there were many reasons for that, which I won't go into today. So that's the message for me today, and also to remember that actually, even in my lifetime, I remember as a child, my parents taking me to chickenpox parties, measles parties. There wasn't the same level of fear around these childhood diseases. They were just accepted as a kind of rite of passage, if you like, a necessary part of childhood that meant almost invariably that once that illness was done and dusted, that it meant a kind of upgrade, some kind of developmental leap took place. And it was great if all the children could do it all at once. And they could do it without, any fear or any need to suppress it. It was just there. It did what it was meant to do, and children came out of it all the better for it, stronger, healthier, more vital, and able to do those developmental leaps. I regard things like coughs, colds, vomiting, whatever is needed, mucus production, as in the same camp as that. They're not as they don't follow a set a pattern, and they don't need to be exclusively experienced in childhood, but they are when we've reached some kind of tipping point and we need to actually just get rid of a load of stuff, basically. And if we can change our beliefs around that process, number one, we can make better decisions about the so-called medicines and resources that we reach for. But also, very importantly, we're in a different mindset. And when we're in fear, and that's often, literally a fear, I might die, then we aren't very resourced. We don't make good decisions. And our focus is exclusively on stopping feeling whatever we're feeling. And I completely get that, because I can be like that too. But it doesn't bear fruit in the long run. It actually just sets us up for even more intense experiences further down the lane, further down the lane at some point. So that's what I wanted to invite today is just an exploration of what your understanding of the purpose of minor illnesses. Why do we have them? Why is it this time of year that we have coughs, colds, chest infections? Why? It's not random. Why do some of us get things repeatedly and some of us do things maybe quite intensely, but that's it, it's done, and we don't need to do it for maybe another year? All those things contribute to just us having a better understanding of what's going on when we're doing these things, and of, instead of being fearful and reaching for things that will halt that process, understanding that there is a price to pay if we choose that route. And it may not happen immediately, but it will happen at some stage. And if we can just actually shift it so that we're honouring the process, we're recognising first it is a process, and that it actually has purpose, it has meaning, and it is a kind of cleansing and an upgrading. How will that affect the choices that we make while we're doing that? Can we just allow ourselves to sink into it, to actually invite as much rest and dedicated time to supporting that process, seeing it resolve, experiencing physical symptoms change daily, hourly sometimes, especially when we choose something like homeopathy to support that process, and that we will rest safe in the knowledge that these things are not going to kill us. By and large, they are not. They are going to actually mean that we are stronger and healthier and more able, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, usually all of those things. We're going to be stronger afterwards. And when we shift into that perspective, it becomes so much more liberating, so much calmer, so much freer, and more resourced and more resourceful. So I realise I've taken a long time to say what I'm saying today. I'm not fully back on firing on all cylinders, so forgive me. I hope it makes sense to you. I'm really interested to know what your perspective is currently and how that is working for you. If you look back to your history with acute illnesses, how does your current perspective or understanding of what the purpose is of these illnesses, how does it support you? How does it serve you going forward? And if the answer is, actually, I'm not sure it is, then I invite you to just do some shifting. See if you can just change your perspective and know that at least one other person, me, does not believe that, and that my belief is actually the opposite, that it's a positive process that I needed to go through at this time. And yeah, that's it. So examine what you feel, ask yourself how it's working for you, ask yourself how it makes you feel, and ask yourself which of the perspectives that I've popped into the comments would invite more possibility into your life, would invite greater feelings of empowerment and resourcefulness. And yeah, and if you need any support in helping you to make that transformation, then that's what I'm here for. So do give me a call. Okay, thank you so much for watching. And again, thank you so much for all your well wishes. Take care.